On October 31, 2000, a Singapore Airlines Boeing 747 was getting ready to take off from Taipei's Chiang Kai-shek Airport. Outside, Typhoon Zangsane was raging, making everything dark and chaotic. Inside the cockpit, the crew was focused and everything seemed fine until something shocking happened. Suddenly, out of the storm, a maze of obstacles appeared on the runway. The plane was headed straight for them. What happened next was dramatic and unexpected. Stay with us as we explore the full story behind this mysterious and frightening event. In a puzzling turn of events on October 31, 2000, a Singapore Airlines Boeing 747, surrounded by the chaos of Typhoon Zangsane, inadvertently attempted takeoff from a runway closed for construction. Despite knowing the runway was closed, the experienced crew believed they were on the correct, open runway. This mix-up, shrouded in confusion and a flawed operating environment, raises haunting questions. How did such a fundamental mistake occur? Who is truly at fault, the pilots or the airport? With Singapore Airlines' impeccable safety record hanging in the balance, the answers to these questions remain elusive. Singapore Airlines Flight 006 was a scheduled passenger flight from Singapore Changi Airport to Los Angeles International Airport, with a stop in Taipei's Chiang Kai-shek International Airport on the way. On October 31, 2000, the plane assigned to this flight was a Boeing 747, one of Singapore Airlines' fleet. This particular 747, with registration 9VUSPK, was the 1099th Boeing 747 ever built and had first flown on January 12, 1997. It was powered by 4 Pratt & Whitney PW4056 engines. The aircraft had been recently repainted in a colorful tropical livery to promote new onboard products, making it one of the most eye-catching planes in the fleet. It had just returned from maintenance on September 16, 2000, and was in good condition with no known issues. The flight was commanded by Captain Foong Chi Kong, who was 41 years old and had logged a total of 11,235 flight hours, including 2,017 hours on the Boeing 747-400. The first officer was Latif Serrano, 36, with 2,442 flight hours and 552 on the 747-400. The relief pilot, Ng Keng Leung, aged 38, had 5,508 total flight hours, with 4,518 on the 747-400. The first part of Singapore Airlines Flight 006 journey to Taipei went smoothly. Around 11 p.m. on October 31, 2000, the plane was pushed back from its gate at Taipei Airport. The weather was bad because of a typhoon, with heavy rain making conditions poor. At 11:05 p.m., the ground controllers cleared the plane to taxi to runway 05L. By 11:15 p.m., air traffic controllers gave permission for takeoff on runway 05L, and the flight crew confirmed they received this instruction. The airport had 2 parallel runways, 05L and 05R. Normally, flights used runway 05R for takeoffs. However, a notice had been issued earlier that runway 05 was closed for construction from September 13 to November 22, 2000. It was being changed to a taxiway starting November 1. Although the captain correctly understood they were cleared for takeoff on 05L, the plane mistakenly lined up with runway 05R. Since the airport didn't have radar to track planes on the ground and the weather was too poor for visibility from the control tower, the error went unnoticed. After turning onto taxiway N1, the plane quickly made a right turn onto the closed runway 05R instead of continuing to runway 05L. A few moments later, at 11:16 p.m., the aircraft began its takeoff, but the crew didn't realize they were on the wrong runway. About 41 seconds into the takeoff roll, the aircraft hit concrete barriers, excavators, and other equipment that had been parked overnight on the runway. Due to the low visibility conditions in heavy rain, the crew of flight did not see the array of construction equipment in front of them to take evasive action before impact. The construction equipment included 2 excavators, 2 vibrating rollers, 1 small bulldozer, a crane, and 1 air compressor. In addition, runway 05 contained concrete barriers and sections that had already been excavated as part of the work. Having begun to rotate, the plane failed to get airborne and crashed back onto the runway, breaking up and bursting into flames. The wreckage struck other construction equipment as it slid down the runway. The aircraft broke into 3 major pieces. The fuselage was initially torn in 2, and the engines and landing gear separated. A crane tore the left wing from the aircraft, forcing the jet back onto the ground. The nose struck a loader bulldozer, resulting in a large fire, which subsequently destroyed the forward section of the fuselage and the wings. Upon impact with the construction equipment, the aircraft broke into 3, eventually coming to rest about 6,480 feet from the runway threshold. The plane was now in 3 main sections: the nose section, midsection, and wings and tail section strewn around the end of runway 05R. There were 179 passengers and crew on board. Of those 179 occupants, 83 were killed, 39 suffered from serious injuries, 32 had minor injuries, and 25 were uninjured. 4 crew members lost their lives. 81 passengers and crew died immediately in the accident, and a further 2 passengers died in hospital later. The 3 pilots survived the crash. Most of the fatalities were seated in the middle section of the aircraft, where the fuel tanks were located, and were engulfed in flames when the post-impact fire took hold.